Today we're going to be discussing how a man should treat a woman. I know there's a lot of different opinions about this, but we're going to dive into it today, take a deeper look at it, of how a true gentleman should approach it, how you should think, and really what you should be doing.
The Lionhearted Knight. The making of men.
So today we're going to take a look at how a gentleman, how a lion-hearted knight should treat a woman. I know there's a lot of different opinions about this, especially if somebody's liberal, if somebody's conservative, and some people are even out there enough to ask, well, what is a woman? So let's define that first. A woman is somebody that can give birth to a child biologically without having to undergo all these weird different things. It can just happen. A man, is the counterpart needed to make that happen. That's only been one time where that hasn't been the case, and let's just say that's the whole basis for the Bible. So, now that we've got that out of the way, understanding how a gentleman, how a lion-hearted knight, a true man should treat a woman. There is some very groundwork, basic level stuff here that I want to start with. Number one, be kind. Yes, that should apply to everyone. You should treat people with kindness. Women are no exception. Whether it's a stranger, somebody you know, somebody you don't know, somebody you live with, somebody you're committed to, treat them with kindness, pure and simple. I don't know how to make that any more plain, any more basic. You have to understand kindness is the foundation of all the interactions. Without the kindness, without the compassion for humanity, you're off to a very bad start anyway. So start with kindness. Number two is not just being kind, but being respectful, both publicly and privately. So I think that's a given to somebody that you don't know, that you're not well acquainted with, to have respect for them. In some situations and scenarios, we say respect must be earned. And while that's true, there has to be a level of respect given to everyone without merit, just because. A level of respect to somebody that you meet on the street, to somebody that you work with, somebody you don't know real well, but to somebody that you do know very well, somebody you're committed to in most cases. And I would put out there, for other reasons aside from religious, if you're not committed to them in a permanent way, then you should not be living with them, aside from a mother or something like that. And that's not what we're talking about here. But you should treat them respectfully. A woman is something that a lot of men, for different reasons, hormonal reasons, can get very lewd and very provocative. And there's been situations that I have seen, that I have encountered, where things will be said even among men regarding a lady that is nearby, and it not be hid. And as a man, I find that very offensive is an overused word, but it gets us a good start. I find that very upsetting, because you should have respect for a woman. A woman is not a thing. A woman is not just something for men to use, but they're important and they should be respected for multiple reasons, a myriad of reasons of which we don't have time to get into today. And if you don't understand that, then you need to do some very serious self-assessment. So not only people that you don't know, obviously you could end up in jail if you treat people disrespectfully and unkind to an extreme, but those that you do know, those that you are with behind closed doors, there should be a level of respect there that goes beyond desires, that goes beyond anything that you would feel in your emotions. There has to be a level of respect that is the groundwork on top of kindness. And that really, without being too lewd, the whole no means no is been stretched and wore out to the extreme, but at the same time it had a foundation. Rape, that sort of thing, is incredibly vile and unseemly, and I personally think that anyone guilty of such things, we should bring back the public hangings, make a known example out of them. I'm not saying somebody that's accused. There's women out there that for whatever reason, would false accuse. And so if that can't be substantiated, obviously you don't want to just go around killing guys because every person makes an accusation. There has to be some substantiative evidence there. But if it's known, if it's proven, I don't have any use for a man that would be given to that sort of thing, that sort of behavior. There's something extremely off and very, very needfully to be seriously dealt with in that sort of situation. And that kind of leads me to the next aspect of how a true man should treat a woman. You should not leave any room for unseemly behavior to actually be carried out. Don't allow your good to be evil spoken of. Don't allow yourself to be put in compromising situations. Don't allow yourself to be put in that position to where you are tempted or where you face the more vile instincts of nature and desire to where you would act upon those things, or find yourself in a situation where you've been compromised in your integrity, where you've been compromised in your role as a man and being the protector and being the provider and being what you need to be, and compromising your morals. Don't allow yourself to be in that type of a situation. But also, if you avoid those situations, the false accusations can't be insinuated with any authenticity. It can be easily disproven because you don't even open the door for that opportunity. So it's very important on how you conduct yourself with those you do know and those you don't know. Your honor, your character comes into play and can be something that goes for you or goes against you. So as a man, having the mindset, the awareness of your situations, of your surroundings. In regards to a woman, a girl that you are committed to, and I hope I can speak to every married man here, but especially you young men, you young married men, you young men that are looking to court, looking to date, looking to become in a serious relationship. Have a commitment, not just to her, but for her. To defend her honor. If you're in a situation, have wisdom. Don't go off the deep end. Have balance. But if she is being disrespected, that you step up and you step in between her and that situation. Don't allow some other guy to disrespect her. Don't allow some other situation to disrespect her. Now, there's boundaries. If your wife comes home, your girlfriend tells you if something's been happening at work and if somebody was rude to her, you have no business storming the business and making a scene and creating tumult and making her life miserable, getting her fired from her job. But at the same time, there has to be a level of commitment that you are willing to step up and defend her honor, to defend her character, to defend her physically in whatever that situation, that scenario may be. And I understand that to each person there may be some different level of what that looks like for them, and I'm not going to get into the details of that because there's too many situations and scenarios. But you should have the wisdom and the understanding to figure out what that means. And if you don't, find a true gentleman, a true knight in shining armor per se, that you can confide in and consult with. Taking the next level of that, if you are in a committed relationship, I have seen too many times, and I even, being transparent here, have fought levels of insecurity. That's a bad thing for a man to have. Not saying that you should just take everything at proclaimed face value, but to have insecurity in yourself is a bad thing. You need to have confidence in who you are and also in your relationship. And what I mean by that is, if you are in a committed relationship, if you are pursuing them or have already married them, don't allow insecurities to drive a wedge between you. If you think there might be something capturing her attention and her focus, rather than getting upset over it, examine yourself. Examine yourself and say, how can I regain her attention? How can I sweep her off of her feet? How can I be that knight in shining armor and capture her love and affection afresh, to renew that commitment and that desire, to renew that attention, that focus on us? Don't be of the mindset of, well, I seen her do this or look that way or smile at this guy. And I'm not making room and excuses. And I'm not making room and excuses for disloyalty, for cheating. That's not at all what I'm saying. But don't give her a reason to look towards that door of opportunity. Don't give her a reason to look that way, but instead give her every reason not to. Give her every reason that if she does see a situation or a circumstance, that she looks back at you and she's like, wow, I'm blessed. I'm thankful I have him. I'm thankful to have a man so committed and so understanding. Give her every reason to brag on you. And I'm going to take that a step further. And this is a challenge that never stops. I myself, it's easy to lose focus. It's easy to look back and be like, wow, I've not been the man that I need to be. I've not been focused like I need to be. I've not given her the attention that I need to. And that happens way more often than I care to admit. But when that does, when you realize, get the mindset, how can I make every other woman jealous of her? Not make her jealous, not give my attention to everywhere. Don't be a, for lack of a better word, and pardon the term, a male whore seeking all the attention you can get, but rather give every opportunity for every other woman to see your commitment, your relationship to her. And it may open doors that you have to avoid, going back to the leaving no room for unseemly behavior on your part. It may open some of those doors when other women see your level of commitment and dedication, but let them be jealous of her, of the woman you're committed to, and be so focused that you don't have time for those other women that are jealous. Otherwise, you lose that foothold, you lose that groundwork that you've set, that you've made up, that you've created. And last, but certainly not least, and it does extremely much so, to a great regard, to a great extent tie in to being kind and respectful, understand their value. When you value them, when you appreciate them, when you understand, oh sure, I could live my life on my own, I could be a hermit, but the things I would be missing out in my life, that only my wife can bring, that only the female touch can provide. Their value also goes so much beyond being a homemaker, beyond, well, number one, there's not a single one of you that could ever listen to this or engage in this conversation that was not born of a woman. So that value right there is incalculable. It's beyond value. But so much more of what a woman can bring into your life, into your world, into the world around us. Their gentleness, their demeanor, we need that to balance, for lack of a better picture, the Viking strength that some men come naturally by. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that in measure, in balance. We need that in our lives as well as a man. That's what drives the survival. We can't have food, we can't have protection without that Viking mindset, so to speak. And I'm not talking about just, I'm an animal and I'm uncouth and I'm uncultured. That's not at all what I mean, but I've got to have the capability to be dangerous, as we've talked about in previous episodes. Without that, I become weak. So I need a measure of that in my life, and it has to be controlled. But the women in our lives are a balance to that. They are the kindness. They are the nurturing touch in a home. A father is the fun, the strength, the playfulness, the get things done. And the mother is the focus, the attention, the nurture. And I'm not saying that there's not a mixture of the two, and there should be. A father should also have some nurturing in him, but it will never be on the level of what a mother is naturally and what a mother can provide. And neither will a mother, even if she can be fun and strong and all these different things, she will never be that in a way that a man is, because she was not made for that, and the man was not made for what the woman is. So how you should treat a woman, number one, is to understand her value, to lend yourself to the kindness, to the respect, to not leave room for things that are unseemly, to not leave room for question or doubt, to not leave room for her honor to be degraded and diluted in any way, shape, or form. And give her every reason to trust you, to commit to you every day, to make that commitment all over again. The way you should treat a woman is like she is a queen. They are. The women in your life, your daughters, they're princesses. Treat them as such. We lose focus at times. I lose focus at times. Right now, I could look at my life, my situations, and see areas where I've been lacking. But that's no reason for me to continue lacking. I need to be looking for ways to improve, ways to step up and be a man, to be a lion-hearted knight. I'm not looking to be some flashy, attention-grabbing, macho, sadistic scumbag. I'm looking for a way to bring value to their life, to make them understand how much I value them, to communicate that in my words and my actions. But your actions will always speak louder than your words. So if your words and your actions don't line up, they'll listen to your actions every time. Words are good. Words are important. They're needed. They're the highest level of communication. But actions speak so much more than our words do. So make sure your actions communicate that. While talking about that, let me bring up one more thing for you guys that are committed. You have a spouse, a wife, that you are wanting to make sure you keep her attention. You let her know how much you care, how much you love her. Nothing should be above you in that household. Whatever is needed, whatever needs to be done, you need to be man enough to do it. I understand there are some women, they don't want the man in the kitchen. And especially when the woman does not work outside the home. Don't get me wrong, I understand. Being a stay-at-home mother, taking care of the house, that's a job. That's a hard job. I don't want to say that it's not or take away from that in the least. But any man that doesn't have the salt to step up and do what needs to be done, I really don't have the words to put it kindly. You need to be man enough to step up and do what needs to be done. Any man that says, well, I can't touch a baby's diaper, I can't take care of the kids, or I can't cook, that's not my place. Phooey on that. You need to be a man and do what needs to be done. So if you had to live on your own for whatever reason tomorrow, you're not going to cook. If something, God forbid, were to happen to your wife, you're just going to neglect the kids. You are capable. Don't choose not to. Step up, do what needs to be done. Be willing to use a mop, to run a vacuum. If that's below you, then being a man is something that you're not qualified for. You don't need to call yourself a man. And I'm being blunt. I understand there are households where certain things work, but be willing to have that conversation. If you don't know what she needs, if you don't know what could be done to make her life easier that you're capable of doing, have that conversation. Be man enough to sit down and say, look, this is how I've been raised. This is how I understand it. But what do you need from me? And now there are, sure, I'm some women, some circumstances where she would take advantage of that, or where maybe she isn't living up to her end of what she needs to do to be the woman she needs to be. This isn't talking about roles. This is talking about making a house a home, making yourself to be the man that she needs you to be the man of your home, to step up, to take the responsibility of what you've committed to do. that you make them understand, that you let your wife know you are the queen of my home, of my life, of my domain, of everything that I touch, of everything that I encounter, of everything that I am. You are the queen. My daughters, you are the princess, that you need to be treated like that. You need to be treated like royalty. You have your part to do. You don't need to be just so coddled and pampered that you become a stubborn, rebellious, or spoiled brat, but you need to be treated like the royalty you are. And taking one little twist to that, for a Christian, for a believer, we are all created in His image. We are all a royal priesthood. You're royal too. You need to act like a king. You need to act like the man that you are meant to be. You need to take that responsibility. You need to take ownership of the domain of the life that God has given you. And you need to step up and be that man, and be that Lionhearted Knight, be that encourager, be that hero for those around you that are in need of that situation. Be strong. Don't be afraid to be strong, but be kind, be compassionate with it. Balance it out. Keep it focused not on you, not about making you some Superman, but making you that knight, making you that warrior in a garden. That's what you need to be, to treat them like royalty and understand that you're royalty too. Own up to it. There's expectations on you. There's responsibility on you. Sometimes it's hard, yes, but own up to it. Step up to it. Be that man. Take ownership of that. Don't try to shrug responsibility. Well, I didn't know, or I was unprepared. That's on you. Step up and be that man that you need to be. That's what this world is missing. That's why our society is the way it is. I understand we don't want to walk all over people. We don't want to hurt feelings, and that's good to a strong degree. But at the same time, enough's enough. You need to step up and be what God called you to be. I don't know how else I can make that any more plain. And I'm talking to myself right now too. I'm giving myself a good little pep talk right here. Step up and be a man and accept that responsibility, accept what that is, and live up to it, because you can, you're capable. You just have to choose to do it.